welcome to another Mixed Media Monday. I'm Eric Scott, and I'm here again to share just something little, something mixed media. I always try to spend about half an hour, 20 to 30 minutes working on something just to kind of show you how easy it is to just dive into some mixed media. It doesn't have to be something grand. You don't have to have a ton of materials. And today I want to continue with something I started last time. So if you didn't see the last episode, I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. I just was not kind of in that mood to sit down and create. But the thing is that with creating, often we still need to show up. Like, even if we're not in that mood, if we really want to be creative, we want to be a creator, we want to be a maker, we have to find that time to show up. And sometimes, we're just not feeling it, but we show up anyway. Well, I'm feeling a lot more into it today, even though I don't know where I'm going with this piece. So this piece is the one I started last week, and I'm going to continue it today. So let's go ahead and switch this over, and we'll get started with the work. All right, so I've got this little 6x8 piece of paper. This is just a piece of mixed media paper. It does get a little bit warped, but that's all right. So last time I was just using, I was using the paints and I was using paints, and I was using some of the Inktense pencils, and I was building up lots of layers, and I really like it, but I want to do something different. So today I grabbed just a pen. This is a Pentel pocket brush pen. And what I like about it is that it has a nylon brush tip. So they're actually individual nylon bristles, and it paints. But what I love about it is because it's a pen, I don't have to dip it into paint, so I can paint the ink on, and it's a very good, high quality indie ink. But I'm not even really sure what I want to do with this. So I think I'm just gonna make some marks. I've got some of these oval type lines and marks, so I think I'm just gonna kind of repeat some of those. So if I barely use the tip, I can get a thinner line. So one thing I like about the brush pen is that it is really gives me a nice variety of line thicknesses. It's a little bit wonky, it's a little bit hard to control, but I kind of like that. I've been really trying to focus on that more organic feel and not a very geometric feel. So I think this is a good way of doing that, because this pen, it's hard to be very precise with the thickness. But it gives me a very painterly effect. I think I want this one to be a little bit thicker on the inside. So it's just an experiment. And I'm not even sure, is it going to go the way, is it going to go away? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out exactly how to say it. Is the piece developing in a way that I like? Is it going to be something that I'm like, oh, wow, check that out. Oh, I want to hang that on the wall. I don't know. I mean, I'm liking it. But we'll see. I don't know. Yeah, liking it, but we'll see. All right. I just had a thought, like, well, what if I use some white? So this is a white gel pen. It is water soluble. This black pen, Once this ink dries, it will stay. It doesn't really move. I can paint over it. Maybe it'll smudge a little bit, but definitely not like the gel pen is water soluble. So once it's down and I paint over it, it can lift up. But this is a not Strathmore, sorry, the paper Strathmore. What I was trying to say, this is a uni-ball Signo white gel pen. And so I'd covered like, the entire surface with color, and, I took the white away from the page, from the paper. So this allows me to bring a lighter value in. Now where the value is already light, it doesn't show up as well. So like in some of these areas where it's a little bit lighter, the dots are a little bit harder to tell, but they're a lot harder to see. But here where it's darker, definitely shows up. Okay. Actually, I think I want to go ahead and do some more white. So the gel pens are pretty notorious for kind of getting clogged up or drying up a little bit. So it always seems like whenever you first start using it, when it's brand new, it'll work really well. And then if you set it down and don't use it for a few days, it seems like it doesn't work as well. And then sometimes with mixed media stuff, of course, you're drawing on top of glue and paint and all kinds of other stuff. So the tips can kind of get a little, I don't know if clog's the right word, but gummed up a bit. So um, just, just want to put in a few extra lines. So that's why, it's like I have to go back sometimes and go over the line again, because the tip just is not drawing as smoothly as maybe it once did. And then sometimes it will. All right. Oops. So I picked up one of my Faber-Castell Pitt artist pens, and this is going to allow me to get a thinner black line. So I've got some really thick, organic looking lines. This will just allow me to get something a little bit thinner and allow me to have just a little bit more contrast. All right, looking at that, I'm really digging kind of where it's going and how it's going. I keep looking at the red especially, and I feel like I want that to be a little bit more solid. So I could use paint or I could use the Inktense pencils, and it won't affect the black, but it could affect the white gel pen. So I think I'm going to grab colored pencil. So grab some of my colored pencils and let's go ahead and I've got just a regular red. See what else I've got here. And we'll start with this. I'm not really sure, so I'm going to turn it over and just check it. It's a nice bright red. Um, yeah, I like that one a little bit better. It's called Rose, even though it's more of a red. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is just use the colored pencil, and it matches that red that I use with the Inktense pencil. I'm just shading it in so it's a little bit darker near the edge of this shape, and then just lighten up my pressure, and it just sort of fades into the background. It's just going to make that red a little bit more solid looking. I'm working right over top of the black ink. The colored pencil's pretty transparent and I'm not pressing super hard, so that black ink still shows through. And what I love about the small papers, I've said this over and over again, is that it allows me to turn it. That's just something, it's a habit that I've gotten into over the years, and just being able to approach the mark making in a more comfortable position. Of course, if this was all smeary material, I'd have to be careful because of my hand. So hopefully you can kind of see how this looks a little bit more solid now. And I'm just going to continue that and do that with the other areas of red. Now, I may have been able to do this before I put down the ink. The colored pencil, at least this colored pencil, has wax in it, so the surface gets a little bit waxy, but the ink should still kind of work really well on top of it. But it's just one of those things where as you're working, sometimes you figure it out as you're going. And so, if I were to do this again, I might go, oh, you know what? Let me do the colored pencil first. And then I don't have to be so careful, especially around that white gel pen. I'm trying not to shade on top of it. It's not so bad on top of the black ink. Again, trying to fade it out so it kind of just fades into the background. But that's part of the learning process. Whenever you're experimenting and trying something that you're not used to, you have to figure out your process. And so there is that there's a learning curve to trying something new. So this is just really strengthening that red and just bringing that contrast back. So I used a lot of the earth tones, the browns and the ochres. And when I put the red on top, it was, it was the thing that really was contrasting those other colors. Now the black and the white really contrast that. But I kind of want to bring this red back just a little bit, just to make it a little bit more defined underneath everything. Just makes it look a little bit more solid. Okay. Oh, I think that's going to wrap that one up. I kind of feeling like that one's working pretty well. So I don't know if I'll do something like this again, but I mean, there's some ideas and some elements there that I really like. I really like the buildup of the layers of the ink tints and the paint and the colored pencil. I like the ink on top of it too. But I kind of feel like the ink is like it's on top of everything. So I don't know how well that's working for me. But I think if I were to do this again, maybe I wouldn't do the ink. Maybe I would have just gone straight to the colored pencil. I could have done some of the dark brown in there too. But that's the thing, it's like you try things out, and sometimes it turns out in a way that you like. And then sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you're like, oh, that's not what I had hoped for. So anyway, so there's another one done. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, just to kind of show you how you can finish things up, how, you might start something one day and then come back to it another time and add and build on top of it. But again, this is just, it was an experiment. So I don't know, maybe I need to spend a little bit more time with it. It's something that I think it works. I like it, but I'm not like over the moon about it. I'm not like super excited, like, oh, check that out. I really stumbled on something new there. But that's what art is. You sit down, you show up, you sit down, and you do the work. And sometimes things go in a direction that you feel is like worth pursuing. Sometimes you try things and you go, that was kind of a dead end, but I tried it, and we'll see kind of where things go next. So anyway, I'm so appreciative of you tuning in once again for Mixed Media Monday. Of course, I try to come here every Monday. Um, and so if you like what you've been seeing, make sure that you subscribe, make sure that you share the videos, let other folks know that this resource is out there. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in once again, and I appreciate it. And as always, happy creating.